A New Hope. The stars stretched into infinite lines as the UES Defiance hurtled through hyperspace. Captain Lara Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the blur of light beyond the viewport. The ship's hum reverberated in her bones, a constant reminder of its power and the weight of her command. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates," Lieutenant Kai Malik reported from the navigation console, dropping out of hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The distorted starfield snapped back into pinpricks of light. A lone planet hung against the backdrop of space, its mottled green and brown surface shrouded in wisps of white. Lara narrowed her eyes. "Scan the planet. Find out what's down there." Several seconds passed before Kai spoke again. "I'm picking up faint energy signatures on the surface, but I can't get a lock on the distress beacon's location." Lara turned to the comms officer. "Hail them." No response on any frequency, Ensign Ragapatul replied, shaking her head. A chirp from the tactical station drew Lara's attention. Lieutenant Commander Thane Corvin, the Defiance's first officer and Lara's closest confidant, looked up from his display. "There's no sign of the Zorgax, Captain. But I don't like it. This feels like a trap." Lara considered the planet again. The distress call that had brought them here was unconventional, an ancient human code not used in centuries. High Command had ordered them to ignore it and continue patrolling the fringe worlds. But something about the signal pulled at Lara, whispering of secrets long forgotten. She straightened, hands clasped behind her back. "Commander Corvin, prepare an away team. We're going down to the surface." Thane's brow furrowed. "Captain, are you sure that's wise? If the Zorgax are behind this, then we spring the trap." Lara met his concerned gaze. "And make them regret it." Within the hour, Lara stood in the shuttle bay with Thane and 3 of the Defiance's best. Sergeant Ava Cruz, a fierce fighter and loyal soldier. Dr. Liam Rayner, the ship's brilliant and eccentric science officer. And Corporal Zara Vance, a skilled pilot and mechanic. As the shuttle descended through the atmosphere, buffeted by turbulence, Lara's thoughts drifted to Earth, to the rolling green hills and crystal seas of her youth. She'd been just a child when the Zorgax came, their warships darkening the skies. The great cities burned, the vast fleets of humanity reduced to ashes. And yet, even in darkness, hope endured. "I'm picking up a large structure 5 clicks north of our position," Zara called from the cockpit. "Could be the source of the signal." Lara nodded. "Take us in, and keep your eyes open." The shuttle touched down at the base of a towering alien ruin, its angular obsidian surfaces etched with glowing red sigils. Ava and Zara took point, weapons ready, as Liam scanned the structure with his array of sensors. "This architecture, these markings, I've never seen anything like it," Liam breathed, eyes wide with wonder. "The technology required to build this, it's beyond anything we've encountered." Thane frowned. "I don't like this. It feels wrong." Lara privately agreed, a chill crawling up her spine as they approached the ruin's gaping entrance. The darkness within seemed to swallow the light. "Stay sharp," she ordered, unholstering her sidearm. "Whatever's in there, we face it together." With one last look at the alien sky, Lara led her team into the unknown, determined to uncover the truth behind the signal. For Earth, for humanity, failure was not an option. The obsidian halls echoed with their footsteps as they ventured deeper into the ruin. Crimson light pulsed along the walls, casting eerie shadows across the angular corridors. Liam's scanner beeped and chirped, its readings fluctuating wildly. "These energy signatures are off the charts," he reported, his voice hushed with awe. "Whatever this place is, it's more than just a ruin. It's alive." Ava kept her rifle at the ready, eyes scanning the shadowed corners. "I don't care what it is. If it's a threat, I'll put it down." Lara held up a hand, silencing them. "Do you hear that?" A whisper drifted through the halls, a language ancient and alien. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, echoing in their minds. Thane's hand tightened on his weapon. What is that? Some kind of Zorgak's trick. Lara shook her head, stepping forward. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. A glowing sigil flickered on the wall ahead, pulsing in time with the whispers. It's calling to us, she murmured, reaching out to touch the symbol. The instant her fingers brushed the cool stone, the corridor flooded with blinding white light. Lara threw up a hand to shield her eyes, the whispers crescendoing into a deafening roar. As the light faded, Lara lowered her hand, blinking away the spots in her vision. The corridor had vanished, replaced by a cavernous chamber. In the center, hovering above a raised dais, was a pulsing orb of amber energy. By the stars, Liam breathed. The energy readings, they're astronomical. This artifact, it's like nothing I've ever seen. Zara aimed her rifle at the orb, eyes narrowed. Captain, I don't like this. We should leave now. Lara stepped forward, drawn to the artifact. The whispers had faded, but she could feel them still, tugging at the edges of her mind. No, she said softly. This is what we came for. This is the key to saving humanity. Thane laid a hand on her shoulder, his face lined with concern. Lara, think about this. We don't know what that thing is, or what it's capable of. She met his gaze, her eyes blazing with determination. I know it's our only chance. The Zorgaks have taken everything from us, Thane. Our homes, our families, our hope. This artifact, whatever it is, I can feel its power. With this, we can fight back. We can win. Thane held her gaze for a long moment before nodding. I'm with you, Captain. To the end. Lara turned back to the artifact, squaring her shoulders. She thought of Earth, of the billions of lives hanging in the balance. The weight of their hopes, their dreams, settled on her like a mantle. With a deep breath, Lara reached out and grasped the orb. Power surged through her, ancient and raw, flooding her veins with liquid fire. She gasped, her vision widening out as the whispers roared to life once more. And in that moment, Captain Lara Voss saw the truth. The artifact was more than just a weapon, more than a tool. It was a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe itself. As she stood there, wreathed in amber light, Lara knew that the battle was only beginning. The Zorgaks would come for them, their ships darkening the stars. But humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would fight. They would endure. And with the power of the ancients at their side, they would triumph. For in the end, it was not technology or weapons that made humanity strong. It was the unbreakable spirit, the will to stand against the darkness, no matter the cost. And in Captain Lara Voss, that spirit burned brighter than any star. Planet of secrets. The Defiance hung in orbit above the planet, its hull gleaming in the starlight. On the bridge, Captain Lara Voss stood before the view screen, the amber orb pulsing softly in her hands. Her crew worked at their stations, an air of tension hanging over them like a shroud. Captain, I've finished my analysis of the artifact, Dr. Liam Rayner reported, looking up from his console. The energy readings are unlike anything I've ever seen. This technology, it's beyond our understanding. Lara nodded, her gaze fixed on the orb. And the ruins. Have you found anything else? Liam shook his head. The scans are inconclusive. There's some kind of interference down there, blocking our sensors. We won't know more until we investigate further. Commander Thane Corvin frowned. Captain, I must advise against further exploration. We don't know what other dangers might be lurking on that planet. Our priority should be getting the artifact back to High Command. Lara turned to face him, her eyes blazing. And then what, Thane? We hand over the only advantage we found and hope for the best. No, we need answers. This artifact, these ruins, they could hold the key to ending this war. Thane held her gaze for a long moment before nodding. As you say, Captain, but I recommend we proceed with caution. Noted, Commander. Lara turned to Liam. Doctor, prepare a research team. I want every inch of those ruins scanned and analyzed. As Liam hurried off to gather his equipment, Lara stepped closer to the view screen. The planet filled her vision, an enigma waiting to be unraveled. She could feel the weight of the artifact in her hands, the power thrumming beneath its surface. "Zara, you're with me," she said, turning to the pilot. "We're going back down there." The shuttle touched down at the base of the obsidian ruin, kicking up a cloud of dust. Lara emerged into the alien sunlight, the artifact secured in a containment case at her side. Zara followed close behind, her rifle at the ready. They made their way through the winding corridors, the pulsing red light guiding their path. Liam and his team had already set up a base camp in the central chamber, their equipment humming and beeping. "Captain," Liam greeted, looking up from a holographic display, "we've made some remarkable discoveries. These ruins, they're far older than we initially thought. The dating scans put them at over 1,000,000 years old." Lara's eyes widened. 1,000,000 years? But that's impossible, I know. Liam grinned, his excitement palpable. But the evidence is clear. This civilization, whoever they were ancient. And their technology, it's beyond anything we've ever dreamed of. Zara frowned, her gaze scanning the shadows. If they were so advanced, then where are they now? What happened to them? "I don't know," Liam admitted, "but I intend to find out." Lara set the containment case on a nearby table, her fingers brushing the smooth surface. "And the artifact? Have you learned anything more about it?" Liam's expression turned somber. "Only that it's incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous. The energy readings are off the scale. In the wrong hands, this artifact could be devastating." A chill ran down Lara's spine. The Zorgax. If they ever got their claws on this technology, then we need to make sure that doesn't happen, she said firmly. "Continue your research, Doctor. Find out everything you can about this place and the beings who built it." As Liam returned to his work, Lara turned to Zara. "Come on, let's take a look around." They ventured deeper into the ruins, the corridors twisting and turning like a labyrinth. The red light pulsed faster now, the alien whispers growing louder with each step. Suddenly, Zara grabbed Lara's arm, pointing ahead. "Captain, look." A massive door loomed before them, its surface etched with glowing sigils. The whispers seemed to emanate from beyond, beckoning them forward. Lara stepped closer, her hand outstretched. The instant her fingers brushed the cool metal, the sigils flared brightly, and the door swung open with a grinding rumble. Beyond lay a vast chamber, its walls lined with pulsing crystals. In the center, suspended in a beam of shimmering light, was a single glowing orb. Zara raised her rifle, eyes narrowed. Another artifact. Lara shook her head, stepping forward as if in a trance. "No, something else. Something." As she approached the orb, the whispers crescendoed, ancient words echoing in her mind. Images flashed before her eyes. Towering cities of gleaming metal, vast fleets of crystalline ships, beings of pure energy swimming through the stars. And then a darkness, a shadow falling across the galaxy, devouring all in its path. Worlds crumbled, stars winked out like snuffed candles. The beings of light fought, their power blazing against the void, but it was not enough. The darkness consumed them, and the galaxy fell silent. Lara gasped, stumbling back from the orb. Zara caught her, eyes wide with concern. "Captain, what is it? What did you see?" Lara shook her head, trying to clear the visions from her mind. "The end," she whispered. "The end of everything." She looked up at the orb, her heart pounding. This is a warning, a message left behind by the ancients. They knew what was coming. Zara's grip tightened on her rifle. The Zorgax. No. Lara's voice was hollow. Something worse. Something ancient and hungry. She turned to Zara, her eyes haunted. We have to get back to the Defiance. We have to warn the others. But as they turned to leave, the chamber shook with a tremendous roar. Dust rained down from the ceiling, the crystals flickering wildly. Lara's comm crackled to life, Liam's panicked voice filling the air. "Captain, we've got incoming. Zorgak's warships, a whole fleet of them." Lara's blood ran cold. They'd been found. She grabbed Zora's arm, pulling her towards the door. Back to the shuttle. Now. As they raced through the crumbling corridors, the ancient whispers echoed in Lara's mind. A chilling promise of darkness to come. The battle for the artifact had begun, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Race against time. The Defiance shuddered as another volley of Zorgak's fire slammed into its shields. On the bridge, Captain Lara Voss gripped the command chair, her knuckles white. The view screen showed a roiling mass of enemy ships, their angular hulls bristling with weapons. "Shields at 60%, Lieutenant Commander Thane Corvin reported, his face grim. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." Lara gritted her teeth. "We have to hold them off. Liam, tell me you've got something." Dr. Liam Rayner looked up from his console, his eyes wide. "I've been analyzing the data from the ruins. The artifacts, the warnings, it's all starting to make sense. The ancients, they were trying to tell us something. Something about a weapon, hidden away in the far reaches of space." Lara leaned forward. "A weapon? Powerful enough to stop the Zorgaks?" Liam nodded. "And whatever else is out there. The darkness from your vision." Thane frowned. "How do we find it?" "The artifacts," Liam said, excitement creeping into his voice. "They're not just power sources. They're keys. When brought together, they'll reveal the location of the weapon." Lara stood, a flicker of hope kindling in her chest. "Then that's our mission. We find the other artifacts, and we end this war once and for all." The Defiance rocked again, sparks flying from overloaded consoles. Zora's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain, we can't stay here much longer. The Zorgaks are closing in." Lara turned to Kai at the navigation console. "Plot a course out of here, maximum speed. We need to find those artifacts before the Zorgaks do." As the Defiance leaped into hyperspace, leaving the Zorgaks' fleet behind, Lara stood before the star map. Liam's data scrolled across the screen, pointing the way to the first artifact. "Thane, you have the bridge," she said, turning to leave. "I'll be in my quarters, studying this data. We have to be ready for whatever we find out there." In the quiet of her room, Lara pored over the ancient texts, the amber orb glowing softly beside her. The secrets of the ancients unfolded before her, tales of a civilization that had spanned the stars, and the terrible darkness that had consumed them. A chime at her door broke her concentration. "Come in." Thane stepped into the room, his face lined with concern. "Lara, are you sure about this? Chasing after ancient legends, risking everything on the word of a long-dead race." Lara met his gaze, her eyes resolute. "I'm sure, Thane. You saw what happened on that planet. The Zorgaks, the visions. This is bigger than all of us. If there's even a chance this weapon can end the war, we have to take it." Thane sighed, sinking into a chair. "I know. It's just, I have a bad feeling about this. Like we're walking into something we don't understand." Lara reached out, laying a hand on his arm. "I feel it too. But we don't have a choice. The Zorgaks won't stop until they've wiped us out. And whatever else is out there, we have to be ready." Thane covered her hand with his own, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I'm with you, Lara. Always." The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of a dense asteroid field. Massive rocks tumbled through space, their surfaces pitted and scarred. "The artifact is here. Somewhere," Liam said, his eyes glued to his scanners. "But the interference from the asteroids is making it hard to get a lock." Lara leaned forward. "Take us in, Kai, carefully." The ship wove through the treacherous field, its shields flaring as stray rocks bounced off the hull. Lara's eyes scanned the tumbling debris, searching for any sign of the ancient technology. There, Liam cried, pointing to a particularly large asteroid. I'm picking up energy readings from inside that rock. Lara nodded. Zara, take a team and secure that artifact. Thane, keep an eye on the long-range sensors. If the Zorgax show up, we'll handle them, Thane finished grimly. But hurry. As Zara's team made their way to the asteroid's surface, Lara paced the bridge, her mind racing. They were close, she could feel it. The weapon was within their grasp. But so were the Zorgax, and they would stop at nothing to claim it for themselves. Zara's voice crackled over the comm, strained with effort. Captain, we've got the artifact, but we've got company. Lara's head snapped up as Thane's console blared a warning. Zorgax ships incoming. They're closing fast. Get that artifact on board now. Lara barked. Kai, prepare to jump to hyperspace the moment they're back. The Defiance shuddered as the first Zorgax shots slammed into its shields. Lara gripped the command chair, her eyes fixed on the view screen. Come on, Zara. The minutes stretched into eternity as the Zorgax ships grew closer, their weapons hammering at the Defiance's faltering defenses. Finally, Zara's voice filled the bridge. We're on board. Go. Kai's hands flew over his console, and the stars stretched into lines as the Defiance leaped into hyperspace. The bridge crew let out a collective breath, the tension draining from the air. But Lara couldn't relax. Not yet. They had the second artifact, but the Zorgax were hot on their heels. And somewhere out there, the darkness from her visions lurked, waiting. She stood, facing her crew. This is just the beginning. We have a long road ahead of us, and the Zorgax will be dogging us every step of the way. But we can't falter. The fate of humanity, of the entire galaxy, rests on our shoulders. She looked at each of them in turn, pride swelling in her chest. I couldn't ask for a better crew, a better family, to face this with. Together, we'll see this through to the end. As the Defiance hurtled through hyperspace, racing towards the next artifact, and the battles to come, Lara felt a flicker of hope amid the fear and uncertainty. They had each other. They had a chance. The Crucible. The planet loomed before them, a mottled sphere of red and black. Roiling clouds of ash obscured its surface, lit from beneath by the angry glow of molten rock. The Defiance hung in orbit, its hull scorched and battered from the relentless Zorgax pursuit. On the bridge, Captain Lara Voss stood before the view screen, the two artifacts pulsing in her hands. The final piece of the puzzle, the key to the Ancient's weapon, lay somewhere on the planet's inhospitable surface. I've never seen readings like this, Dr. Liam Rayner said, his eyes wide as he scanned the data streaming across his console. The tectonic activity, the atmospheric composition. This planet is a death trap. Commander Thane Corvin frowned. And the perfect place to hide an ancient superweapon. No one in their right mind would come here. Lara's grip tightened on the artifacts, which is exactly why we must. Zara, prep a landing shuttle. Thane, Liam, you're with me. We're going down there. As the shuttle descended through the turbulent atmosphere, buffeted by searing winds, Lara's mind raced. They were so close to ending this war, to saving humanity from extinction. But the visions of darkness still haunted her, a looming threat that even the Ancient's weapon might not be able to stop. The shuttle touched down on a rocky plateau, the ground shuddering beneath them. Lara emerged into the oppressive heat, the artifacts secured in a containment case at her side. Thane and Liam followed, their faces grim behind their protective gear. Liam consulted his scanner, pointing to a massive fissure in the ground ahead. The energy readings are coming from down there. The artifact must be somewhere in those caves. Lara nodded, unholstering her sidearm. Then that's where we're going. Stay alert. There's no telling what we might find. They descended into the fissure, the light from their helmets casting eerie shadows on the jagged rocks. The heat was suffocating, the air thick with the stench of sulfur. But Lyra pressed on, driven by a sense of urgency that bordered on desperation. As they ventured deeper, the caves began to change. The rough, natural walls gave way to smooth, angular surfaces, etched with glowing sigils. Liam's scanner beeped frantically, the readings spiking. "We're close," he breathed. "The artifact is just ahead." Suddenly, the ground shook with a tremendous roar. Rocks rained down from the ceiling, and gouts of flame burst from the walls. Lara stumbled, nearly losing her footing as a chasm opened up before them. Thane grabbed her arm, pulling her back from the edge. "This whole place is coming apart." Lara shook her head, her eyes fixed on the far side of the chasm. There, on a raised pedestal, sat a glowing orb, pulsing in time with the artifacts in her hand. "We can't turn back now," she said, her voice steely. "Not when we're this close." She handed the containment case to Liam, then took a running start and leaped across the chasm. Her hand scrabbled for purchase on the far side, the heat searing her fingers. With a grunt of effort, she hauled herself up, turning to face the pedestal. The orb was mesmerizing, its surface swirling with colors she had no name for. Lara reached out, her hand trembling, and grasped the artifact. Instantly, a surge of energy raced through her, 1,000 voices whispering in her mind. Visions flashed before her eyes, towering machines of war, planets crumbling to dust, stars winking out like snuffed candles. And through it all, a terrible, hungering darkness, devouring everything in its path. Lara gasped, staggering back from the pedestal. The orb pulsed in her hand, warm and heavy. "Lara," Thane's voice cut through the chaos. "We need to go now." She turned, seeing Thane and Liam on the other side of the chasm, waving frantically. The containment case was open, the other artifacts glowing brightly. Lara looked down at the orb in her hand, then back at her crew. With a deep breath, she leaped back across the chasm, the artifact clutched tightly to her chest. The moment her feet touched the ground, the caves shuddered with a deafening roar. Fire erupted from the depths, consuming everything in its path. "Run!" Lara shouted, sprinting for the surface. Thane and Liam followed close behind, the containment case bouncing against Liam's hip. They burst from the fissure just as the ground collapsed behind them, a plume of ash and flame shooting into the sky. The shuttle was waiting, Zara at the controls. "Go, go, go," Lara yelled as they leaped aboard. The shuttle rocketed into the sky, the planet's surface crumbling beneath them. As they broke atmosphere, Lara collapsed into a seat, her heart pounding. The 3 artifacts lay before her, pulsing in unison. Thane laid a hand on her shoulder, his face ashen. "We did it. We have them all." Lara nodded, a grim smile tugging at her lips. "And not a moment too soon. The Zorgax will be on us in." A blaring alarm cut her off. Zara's voice filled the shuttle, taut with fear. "Captain, we've got incoming. A massive Zorgax fleet, bigger than anything we've ever seen. They're not alone." Lara's blood ran cold. The darkness from her visions, the terrible hunger that had consumed the ancients. It was here. She stood, facing her crew. "This is it. The final stand. The Defiance is waiting for us, and the rest of the human fleet will be here soon. We have the artifacts. We have the location of the ancients' weapon. It's time to end this, once and for all." As the shuttle docked with the Defiance, Lara felt a strange calm settle over her. The fate of the galaxy would be decided here, in the fires of battle. And she would not falter. For Earth, for humanity, for the future, she would fight to her last breath. The crucible awaited, and Captain Lara Voss was ready to face it. Humanity's stand. The Defiance hung in the void, the assembled might of humanity at its back. A ragtag fleet of ships, the last remnants of Earth's once mighty armada, faced the oncoming tide of Zorgax warships. And beyond them, a shadow darker than the void itself, a hunger that swallowed the stars. On the bridge, Captain Lara Voss stood tall, the weight of the artifacts heavy in her hands. The key to the Ancients' weapon. The last hope for humanity's survival. All ships. This is Captain Voss, she said, her voice carried across the void by the fleet's comm network. Today, we face our greatest challenge. The Zorgak seek to wipe us out, to extinguish the light of humanity forever. And behind them, a darkness we can barely comprehend. She paused, letting her words sink in. But we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We stand here, on the edge of oblivion, because we choose to. Because we believe in something greater than ourselves. We believe in the future. A cheer went up from the fleet, a roar of defiance that shook the stars. Lara felt a swell of pride, a fierce love for these brave men and women who stood with her at the end of all things. Ahead of us lies the Ancients' weapon, a power beyond imagining. With it, we can end this war, once and for all. But to reach it, we must break through the Zorgak's lines. We must hold them back long enough for a small team to get through, to activate the weapon and unleash its might. She turned to Commander Thane Corvin, her eyes blazing. Thane, you'll lead the assault. Take our best fighters and punch a hole through their defenses. Buy us the time we need. Thane nodded grimly, his hand tight on his sidearm. We'll give them hell, Captain. Lara turned to Dr. Liam Rayner, holding out the artifacts. Liam, you're with me. We'll take the artifacts to the activation point and end this. Liam took the artifacts, his eyes wide with wonder and fear. I'm with you, Captain. To the end. As Thane mustered his forces and the fleet moved into position, Lara stood at the view screen, watching the Zorgak ships approach. The shadow behind them seemed to pulse and writhe, a living hunger that devoured the light. All ships, engage at will, she said, her voice steady. And may the gods have mercy on us all. The void erupted into fire, the two fleets clashing in a maelstrom of destruction. The Defiance shuddered as it plunged into the heart of the battle, its weapons blazing, its shields straining under the onslaught. Thane's assault force broke away, a spear of light piercing the Zorgak's lines. Fighters danced and swirled, locked in mortal combat, while capital ships traded world-shattering blows. And through it all, the shadow grew, a creeping darkness that swallowed friend and foe alike. Lara gripped the command chair, her knuckles white. Liam, are you ready? The scientist nodded, his face pale but determined. As I'll ever be. Then let's go. They raced through the embattled ship, the deck shuddering beneath their feet. Crew members rushed to and fro, fighting fires, sealing breaches, manning their stations with grim determination. In the hangar bay, a small shuttle waited, its engines primed. Lara and Liam leaped aboard, the artifacts secured in the cargo hold. As they rocketed away from the Defiance, weaving through the chaos of the battle, Lara saw Thane's assault force driving deep into the Zorgak's lines, a trail of destruction in their wake. But the enemy was relentless, the shadow growing ever closer. There, Liam cried, pointing to a massive structure floating in the void ahead. The activation point. The structure was ancient, its surface pitted and scarred, but still it pulsed with an inner light. Lara guided the shuttle towards it, her heart pounding. They touched down on a landing platform, the structure's doors opening to admit them. Inside, a vast chamber awaited, its walls lined with glowing sigils, its floor a swirling mass of light. Liam raced to the center of the chamber, the artifacts in his hands. He placed them into 3 waiting receptacles, his hands shaking. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a blinding flash, the artifacts merged, becoming a single, pulsing orb of pure energy. Lara shielded her eyes, her skin tingling with the power radiating from the orb. Is that? Liam nodded, awestruck. The Ancients' weapon. The power to reshape the very fabric of the universe. Lara reached out, her hand hovering over the orb. The voices of the Ancients whispered in her mind, urging her to take hold, to unleash the weapon's might. But as her fingers brushed the orb's surface, a terrible realization struck her. the power to reshape the universe. But at what cost? The ancients had used this weapon to fight the darkness, and in doing so, had doomed themselves to extinction. She pulled her hand back, tears stinging her eyes. We can't use it. The price is too high. Liam stared at her, uncomprehending. But Captain, the Zorgax, the shadow. We'll find another way, Lara said, her voice firm. Humanity has always found a way. We'll fight, we'll survive, we'll rebuild. But we won't sacrifice our soul in the process. She reached out, clasping Liam's hand. Come on, let's go home. As they raced back to the shuttle, the structure shuddering around them, Lara felt a strange sense of peace. They had come so close to the ultimate power and had turned away. Had chosen a harder path, but one that would let them remain true to themselves. In the void beyond, the battle raged on. The shadow grew. The Zorgex pressed their attack. But the human fleet fought on, a bastion of light in the darkness. And at their heart, the Defiance, battered but unbroken, a symbol of humanity's resilience, of their unquenchable spirit. Lara took her place on the bridge, Liam at her side. She looked out at the fleet, at the brave men and women fighting for their future. This is only the beginning, she said, her voice carrying across the void. The road ahead will be long and hard. We have lost much, and we will lose more still. But we will endure. We will rebuild, and we will never ever surrender. A cheer went up from the fleet, a roar of defiance that shook the stars. And in that moment, Lara knew, with a certainty that blazed in her heart, that humanity would prevail. Not through the power of ancient weapons or the might of their ships, but through the strength of their spirit, through their compassion, their resilience, their unbreakable will. The darkness would come. The Zorgax would not rest, but humanity would stand against them, a light in the void, forever. For they were the children of Earth, the inheritors of the stars, and they would not go gently into the night. Word count, 1190. And with that, the story comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed this tale of Captain Lara Voss and her crew, of their struggle against the Zorgax and the darkness that threatened to consume the galaxy. It was a story of courage in the face of overwhelming odds, of the power of the human spirit to endure and overcome. And while the ending may not have been the ultimate victory some might have expected, I believe it stayed true to the core themes of the story. Lara and her crew faced an impossible choice: to wield a power that could defeat their enemies, but at the cost of their own humanity. And in the end, they chose the harder path, the path of resilience and hope, trusting in the strength of their own spirit rather than the might of an ancient weapon. It's a message that resonates, I think, in our own world. That true strength comes not from external power, but from within. From our compassion, our determination, our ability to stand together in the face of adversity. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell this story. It was a joy to craft, and I hope it brought some measure of entertainment and perhaps even inspiration. If you have any other stories you'd like me to tackle or any feedback on this one, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always eager to spin a new yarn and explore the limitless possibilities of the written word. Until next time, may your own stories be filled with wonder, courage, and the unbreakable strength of the human spirit.